we are so excited. Sorry, gotta grab my iPad. To answer just some questions that have come up throughout the series and just kind of dive into them. So, okay, the first question that we are going to talk about is, what are some signs that it's time to move on from a friendship? What are some signs that maybe you're in a different season and it's time to move on in a friendship? And these are just some things we kind of collectively talked about. This is a good question to ask is, are they leading you towards Jesus? Are they leading you towards Jesus? Are they leading you closer to Jesus in that friendship? That's just a good question to ask yourself if maybe this is a good season to be in a friendship with that person. Also, do you feel full or empty when you walk away from spending time with them? When you're hanging out with someone, do you feel full or have they completely drained you by the time that you have done hanging out with them? And I would say close friendships. Like this is probably like a close friendship of some kind. Also, is the friendship reciprocal? Do you feel like that you are constantly giving, but it's not being given back to you? And now we're not in friendships to just get, but there should be some give and take within a healthy friendship. So that's just something to ask yourself. And then, are our conversations and actions when we are together, are they pleasing to the Lord? When I am hanging out with this person, is everything that we're doing pleasing to the Lord? So maybe if they are, great, I should hold on to that friendship. If there's things that aren't, I might want to have some boundaries within that relationship. And then a last question that we all kind of talked about is, if I were to ask myself, do I trust this person? Can I say, yes, I trust this person? Then, and if you don't, then you might want to think about, well, then why am I in such a close relationship with someone that doesn't seem to be trustworthy? Because you would want to have a close friendship with someone that is trustworthy. The next question, and anybody if you want to chime in. I just have the first round of questions. But how do you end a toxic friendship? And let me first explain toxic. That's kind of an intense word. A toxic friendship, I would say, is something that is extremely unhealthy. Like they are constantly gossiping maybe, or they are constantly leading you towards sin, or maybe they're in a really bad headspace right now and it's affecting you. Like I would say that whatever they're dealing with heavily is starting to affect you in a negative way. So I just want to clarify toxic. Someone's not toxic just because they don't like the same kind of coffee as you, okay? All right, just make sure we're clear. So when you feel like you are seeing some major toxic problems in a friendship and how to back away from those, the first thing is you've got to set up some boundaries. You don't just drop them, okay? That isn't nice or kind. But I would say start to look at getting some healthy boundaries with them. They're not the first ones on your calendar anymore, okay? They're maybe at first you're like, okay, I'm only gonna hang out with them once a month now. And maybe if that's too much, maybe then we gotta back that up. Maybe
every 6 months.
6 months?
Every 6 months.
Every 6 months, yeah. I was thinking slowly put in those boundaries. You don't wanna rip the Band-Aid off sometimes.
I'm super busy.
I don't know.
Sorry, just kidding.
And then do the best you can to don't just block them out and not communicate with them. You need to be honest as you feel like you can be in that moment. Communicate in some way, shape, and form of that, hey, I'm busy right now. I can't, I'm not able to meet with you. And when you feel like you do have an opportunity to say, if they ask you, why? Why can't you hang out with me now? I would just say, do you want to hear the truth? If you're ready to hear the truth, I would love to tell you the truth, but I honestly don't want to hurt your feelings. And try to be really honest about that. Yeah. And then if they say yes, that they're ready to hear the truth, then kindly share the truth. Just say, I feel like that when I'm with you, that I find myself gossiping a lot and I don't like to do that, or whatever it might be. Try to be really honest with them and kind, and try to be as kind as you can. So those would be my 2 indicators. Yes.
I want to say too, I think if we're not careful, sometimes when we're not used to being vulnerable with people, when we make ourselves vulnerable, I may be having coffee with Kelly, just meeting Kelly, and we're having coffee, and I don't want to sit there going in the back of my mind, okay, is she toxic? Is she toxic? Is she toxic? Is she going to be good for me? Is she going to be
The overthinkers.
And I
That's for
say
the
that because we can do that. Yeah. We can sabotage the relationship before it even gets started. And I think it's really important to guard your heart against that.
Yeah, that's a good word right there.
I just want to add, that was very good.
Yeah.
Very good, Millie. You got an applause. I was thinking about what
Elaine.
Pastor Kelly said. I know
Our
we were.
shoes
I like your
match.
shoes. TJ Maxx. I noticed.
I noticed. Who noticed that? Did anybody notice?
Oh, they're women. A lot of them did. Thank God she didn't wear a green shirt today.
I know, I almost did.
But we did a dating series in young adults, and we followed this great book that I don't know, it doesn't matter. But he had a tagline that he always said that clarity is kindness. And I have seen that like over and over in it's for every relationship. Because if, a lot of people ghost each other now, which means like you're done and you don't respond to texts anymore, which is really unkind. It's whether that's a friendship or you're dating someone. But, I love the way that you said that, Kelly, because it was like, I want to tell you the truth, but I don't want to hurt your feelings. And somebody may just be like, I don't want to hear it, I'm done. And that's on them. But if they, want to hear it, then, we all have to grow. We're all works in progress, and we all need help. So it's hard to hear negative things about ourselves, but we need to.
And then kind of another thought, somebody submitted this question, was how do we live out Romans 15:7, which talks about accepting one another, even in the middle of unfriending? How do these work together? So how do we implement that verse that it says to accept one another, but still feel like, I need to separate myself from being really close friends with someone? I think, and I'm going to read the whole verse for you here. This is Romans 15:5-8. So I think you always need to read verses in context, so you're seeing the whole picture, okay? But this is verses 5-8. It says, "May the God who gives endurance and encouragement give you the same attitude of mind towards each other that Christ Jesus had, so that with one mind and one voice you may glorify the God and the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. Accepting one another then, just as Christ accepted you, in order to bring praise to God. For I tell you that Christ has become a servant of the Jews on behalf of God's truth, so that the promises made to the patriarchs might be confirmed." And so this is saying, love others like Jesus loved you, right? And so in the same way, of course, we are going to love God and we are going to love people and we're going to be kind. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to be best friends with every single person that I am being kind one to another with. And we're going to get into this a little bit more. We're going to dive into this in another question. But even Jesus had when Jesus was here on earth, he had his close disciples, right? He had two or three? Three. He had 3 close disciples, and then he had the other 12, he had the 12 total disciples, right? And then he had the following. Then he had the other 9. Yes, and then he had just a following of all these people that followed him. So there were layers of friendship, and he was kind to everyone, of course. But then he had his close circles of friendship. They were layers of his relationships. So I think you can still be kind, accept one another, and still decide that I'm not going to be close friends with someone right now in this season because of one reason or another. Okay, I'm done talking. Millie, I have a question for you. How do you restore a friendship that was lost?
I think that, first of all, there are times when we know why we lost a friendship, and there are times that we really don't have any idea why we lost a friendship. And I think it's important, really, that we approach both of those the same way. First of all, prayerfully, right? And it's hard sometimes because I'm picking on Kelly a lot, but I'm gonna pick on Kelly, but I can go, oh, well, I confided in her and she told Dana and Elaine all of my stuff, right? So I can hold this against her forever, right? Yeah. But I really think I need to look at myself too and figure out, okay, why did that hurt me so badly? Is there something that I need to change within myself? And some people may or may not agree with this, but I think every time that we're going to go to someone and expect them to be honest with us, we need to be honest with ourselves first. We need to pray about that and ask the Lord, is there something that I expected from Kelly that I should be expecting and receiving from you? Because there's a lot of times when we project our needs on our friends, and it's things that only God can provide for us. And same with our spouses. We can project things and expect things from them that only God can provide. So I think, first of all, we need to approach it both ways, prayerfully and in humility, and say, okay, God, is there something that I need to change? Is there something that I need to allow you to come in and heal and take care of that for me, so that I can go back into a healthy relationship with Kelly, and I'm not expecting things from her that she can't give. So that's the first part of it. And I think the second part, whether you know why you lost the friendship or not, I think you go back in with humility. Because there are a lot of times, I even said to Elaine after she spoke, 2 weeks ago, when she was talking about having a tender heart. You guys know me, I'm kind of tough, I'm kind of vocal. And I said to her when she came down, I hope that my sense of humor has never hurt your sensitive spirit. Because there's times when we can make that offense and we don't know that it's there. We truly don't know that it's there. And sometimes, a lot of times, it happens in text messages, right? Because there's no feeling or inflection in those text messages. And we may say something just kind of off the cuff that we think is funny that just really cuts our friend, because they don't know how to take that. So I think every time that you approach this, you have to approach it in humility and not just say, I forgive you, but will you forgive me? And here's the other thing. Not everything has to be hashed out. I really believe that when two people come together and they say, Kelly, I'm so sorry. If I hurt you, please forgive me. Do you forgive me? And then Kelly's gonna say,
Do you forgive me?
yes, I do. And we can hug and finish our coffee and not have to say, Kelly, when you told Elaine that I blah, 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 it just really hurt me. Right?
She's very sensitive. She's more sensitive than me.
And I truly believe that not everything has to be hashed and rehashed, because you reopen those raw emotions and you reopen that hurt and that offense. And if you really want to get past something, you need to forgive and let it go and go on down the road. The last thing I want to say, Romans 12 says, it talks all about how we're to live as Christians. And verse 18 says, as much as it depends on you, live peaceably. To me, what that says is, okay, Kelly and I have made reconciliation. Now I'm not gonna go to Elaine and say, look, I know you know my stuff because Kelly told you, right? If it's over, it's over. If it's over, it's over. And it's not mine to keep carrying it, keep talking about it, keep rehashing it in my mind, keep going down that rabbit hole of, well, what if she had done this, or what if she had done that, or, you know what I'm saying? Living peaceably, as much as it depends on you, really a lot of times starts between your ears and in your mouth, okay? But the other part of that is, if I had come to Kelly and said, Kelly, I'm really sorry, will you forgive me? Hopefully she would have said yes, but you know what? If she said no, I have no control over that. If I have hurt her, if I have truly hurt her, yeah, the Lord can heal the relationship, but she kind of has a reason to put up boundaries. And I may just have to live with the consequence of that. If I have said to her, I'm sorry, I have truly humbled myself to her, I only have control over what my reaction is, none whatsoever over Kelly's. And sometimes it takes some time. I can't expect her to just say, oh, well, I forgive you, and go on down the road. Sometimes it takes some time. So if you truly go into that restoration in humility, give it some time, because the hurt may be pretty deep.
That's good. So good. I love that. Is this good? I'm taking notes. Yeah. I'm taking mental notes over here. All right, Pastor Dana, will you please answer the question of, have you ever been unfriended, either by a Christian or a non-Christian? How did it make you feel, and how did you navigate through that? How do you navigate through being unfriended by someone?
Sadly, I have been unfriended before. There was a period of my life where I was the toxic friend, sadly. And I had this best friend. We were friends for probably 5 years. And me and this friend, we really wasn't the most healthy situation at all, and looking back on it now. And this person at some point went and spoke to their pastor and with concerns with our friendship. And that pastor basically told that person that you need to cut things off. And so my best friend did that, which they were right to do in all honesty. Looking back on it now, I'm like, yeah, that should have happened way before it actually did, actually. The only thing that was difficult about it and that I wish had maybe been different was that there wasn't any communication about boundaries being placed. It was that I did get ghosted. And that was really painful and that was really hurtful. But the Lord led me through healing of that situation. And honestly, I think in the breaking apart of that friendship, the Lord actually led me down a completely different path of healing. And it actually got to a place where I didn't speak to this person for probably 2 or 3 years, I think. And then somewhere around the time that I was in ministry school, I spoke to my pastor about it and just kind of unwove all the stuff and the hurt that I had with that relationship, with that friendship. And she was like, I have a feeling that the Lord's going to give you an opportunity to apologize, to reconcile that. And I want to be clear that reconciliation doesn't necessarily mean at the end of it that you become friends again. You know, you can kind of end up on separate paths. What really needed to happen in that situation was forgiveness and an opportunity for me to apologize to this person. And the Lord gave me that opportunity after we had not spoken for, I think, 2 years. And this friend ended up messaging me out of the blue and just asked how I was doing and said that they were praying for me and for whatever reason that I was on their heart for the moment. And I was shocked because I was like, oh my gosh, my pastor said something about this. And it literally happened like 2 weeks later. And so I messaged this person back and just apologized with detail, actually, of like, hey, I know that I was not in a healthy place whenever we were friends. I'm so sorry that you were a part of that in a way that you shouldn't have been. You were somebody who was trying to call me higher, and I was refusing. And, I understand now as to why you decided to no longer be friends with me. And I want you to know that that's okay. And, I don't have any unforgiveness towards you in my heart at this point. And I hope that you're doing all right. And after that, I know that they accepted forgiveness in that from me. And, we didn't continue to be friends after that. Our lives were very different. This person lived in a separate state from me, and things just were different, and it was totally fine. But I finally had peace in my heart about that situation. And it was really cool how the Lord actually caused reconciliation in the midst of that. So, yeah.
And then just kind of a follow-up question to this. Would you say that unfriending is the same as canceling or cancel culture?
I wouldn't say so, because I feel like cancel culture is kind of more, it's kind of like trying to boycott a person altogether. And I don't find that to be, one, just healthy, but also that's just really unbiblical and unkind. Yeah, it's, no. Answer is no.
Yeah, I would even take it to the point that it's evil. Yeah. So it's definitely not. Unfriending someone, and just that phrase, is just basically saying, I'm putting boundaries with this person. I'm still gonna love them. I'm still gonna pray for them. I'm still, if we walk, like if we happen to be in the same church still or the same area, I'm still gonna smile and be kind. I'm just not spending a lot of quality time with that person anymore. That's what that is. And I'm not asking anyone else. If I choose to unfriend someone, I'm not asking anyone else to unfriend them. That's between them and that person. And I'm definitely not getting a whole group of people to unfriend someone. Absolutely not. That is not right. And you don't know, that's between them and God. Maybe God has empowered someone else to friend them during that time, and God has asked them to do that, but he hasn't asked you to do that. So you just got to bring it to Jesus. But no, we don't do cancel culture here.
Right.
Ever. Okay, good. Yes.
Except Target. Just kidding.
What?
Cancel Target. Sorry, I'm just kidding.
Are you
It's
kidding?
a very controversial thing.
Yeah, you just said it right here. Cut that out, everybody.
I'm just teasing.
I love walking through Target. Don't judge me. Anyway. We planned that. Everyone's like unsure. They're like, I don't know what just happened.
Do we laugh at that? Do we not?
Okay, Elaine, you get the next question.
I'm ready.
Because she's so ready.
Do you shop at Target?
No.
No. Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
If you see
Thank
something you want
spiritual
from
people. No,
there,
I'm just kidding.
I'll get it for you.
I'm
kidding.
just joking. I had to buy things for a baby shower there. So
Of course.
That's it.
Of course, because it's cute. Okay,
I
what
want
do
them to
you
learn their
do?
lesson. Go ahead.
Can you answer this question, please?
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
What do you do in a lonely season? Like if someone's in a season where they feel like I don't have a lot of friends, and I feel like I am in a season where it just feels lonely. What do I do in that season?
Well, I've been here. I think everybody has these seasons. And, I can think of a few different seasons that led me to being lonely. But first of all, knowing that that you can make Jesus honestly your closest friend, which sounds weird if you're not used to that language, but growing closer to God and making yourself vulnerable with God. Journaling, reading his word, getting to know him better. When I first started walking with the Lord, I went through a season like this because God removed people from my life that needed to go. And I didn't have a close friend anymore. I had friends, but I didn't have close friends. And I was very sad at first. And then as I got older, I realized I was a very codependent person and that God was removing people because of my codependency. That he wanted me to depend on him and not people. And I learned that during that season, and that changes your life. That makes you a better friend, actually, because if we're so needy with people, if we're so dependent on people, that's not healthy, and that's too much to put on someone else. So I had to learn that. And then I've had seasons where I just was lonely because, a friendship changed, or I got unfriended. And even that, God worked that all for my good. But I think, of course, keep growing in your faith. Find something to do for someone else. If you're lonely, serve, give yourself to other people, to just somebody to pour into, or a need. Find a need and fill it. Yeah, absolutely. Find a need and fill it, because there's needs everywhere. And you don't stay consumed with yourself when you're doing things for other people and loving other people. It's like a remedy. It's like a miraculous God remedy to help take the focus off of ourselves and put it really on God and on other people. And you don't feel so empty because you're actually doing something good with your time. And I'm also just thinking, like, not isolating. Don't isolate yourself. If you're in a lonely season, you have to get out. You have to keep trying. You have to connect with people. And, there's a lot of ways to do that. You can join all different kinds of groups in your city, your community, your neighborhood, whatever. But, really just keep working on yourself, renewing your mind, not ruminating on all the negative things and believing Satan's lies like, oh, I'm never going to have good friends. something's really wrong with me. Nobody cares about me. Believing those lies, we have to break those agreements with those lies and start to believe God's truth, that God, I trust you. I'm going to keep working on me because I am not perfect and I have plenty of things that I can work on. So did I answer it? Is that it?
It's good.
Okay.
It's good. And then
Thank you.
kind of a follow-up thought, and anyone can answer this, but would the Lord ever call someone to permanent loneliness?
1, 2, 3.
No. No.
Permanent isolation? No.
Isolation. Yeah. Just there's no
Highly unbiblical.
Yeah, we need community. We need friends. We are meant to live life together. And that's why we so believe in small groups and countryside women's, and that you'll never walk alone, not just because Jesus is with you and you'll never walk alone, but because we are living life together within, this, but then also your small groups. We were meant to live life together. And then the last question is, and all of us can answer this in some way, shape, or form, but how do you build friendship with Jesus? How do we build friendship with Jesus? What is that like? Like, how does he become from just being like God, holy, which he is, holy, but now being like a friend to me? Because I think sometimes it's hard to find that deep friendship relationship with Jesus sometimes. How have you done that?
Look at Millie's ready. She's
Oh,
ready.
yeah, go ahead.
Let her go.
See how she shares with me?
With her back to you.
With her back to me. Anybody want to share? Anybody? No. I'm just teasing. I think one of the easiest things for me to remember that, you guys all remember the song, Jesus is a friend, he's a friend next to you, right? Is to,
No, I did not grow
but
up
I'm
in
not
your
going to.
stream of the church. So I don't know this.
But here's the thing. If I'm walking through my house and I just trip over nothing, I'll look up and say, did you see that? Just acknowledge the fact that he is there.
Yeah.
If something funny happens, I feel like he's laughing with me. If I'm crying, I feel like he's right there beside me. I work in my house, I live out of my house, and my husband is there working and living also, but a lot of times I'm alone in my office. And just to know that he is so close to me, and just in the little things, speaking out loud, people say, how did you learn to pray? Just by talking to the Lord. I talk to the Lord just like I talk to you. Be vocal, use your mouth, move your lips, and acknowledge that he's right there beside you.
So good.
I think that's really important, just bringing him in to every moment of your day. Every time you're thinking about something, if you start to get fearful, you just invite him into that and give him that burden. I'll ask God to sometimes, if I'm going through a hard time, God, can you just speak to me? Just reveal yourself to me. And I am obsessed with dolphins. Everyone doesn't know this, but I love dolphins. And there's times I'll go sit at the causeway or the beach, and the Lord will show me a dolphin, like if I'm sad. And I know that that's a special thing between me and God. And there's been times like after my dad died, after my mom died, I went to the beach and I saw a dolphin, and it's just like I knew that was God saying, you're going to be okay. I love you. I see you. God knows what speaks to us. And your thing may not be dolphins, but God knows how to speak to us.
I think that's funny. I'm going to share. So me and God have a thing like that too. It's not dolphins, which I wish it was.
What is it? Is it something weird?
I find dimes,
Oh,
like
yeah.
actual dimes, random places. Places I swear I've like walked by and there hasn't been a dime there, and then I'm having a bad day and there it is, and I pick it up, and I just put them in my kids' piggy banks. But it's dimes. Yeah, it's weird. But same thing in a very hard season of my life where I felt like I really needed to know, like, God, do you see this? Like, do you see me? And I just started finding these dimes, and it was like his thing of like, hey, Kelly, I'm right here. I see you. Or Kelly, you're right where you're supposed to be right now. Like there'll be moments where I'm like, what am I, why am I here? Like, what am I doing? And then there'll be a dime. We'll be there. And I'm like, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Like I randomly am somewhere and then there's a dime and I'm like, okay, Lord, I see you right there. And it doesn't have to be weird. It's not weird. But yeah.
I want God to speak to me through $20 bills. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes and amen.
Hey, if you're asking, hundreds, Lord, hundreds.
I really love dolphins.
That's awesome. That's a great. Pastor Dana, what would you say?
I was going to say this is a completely different direction, but I know that for myself, I had some past history that wasn't great with friendships of my own, and I projected that onto the Lord. And so I had to go through some healing with the Lord through that, and that actually caused me to see him more as that friend to me, to have more of that intimate relationship with him. Because oftentimes, especially if you've grown up with either without a father or with a father that was, it was a rough relationship, and we oftentimes project those things onto God. And so maybe we have an easier time seeing Jesus as our friend, but we don't necessarily have an easy time seeing Father God as being a father to us because we project those relationships onto him. And so that was one of the things that I had to kind of, those things were intertwined for me. And so I had to redefine what that was going to look like. And thank goodness that the Lord is as good as he is, because he just over and over again ended up showing me how good he was in being that good father and being that good friend, and redeemed every single bit of it. And so I highly believe that he can do that for you too.
And I think in the midst of that, you had to make a decision that I'm going to be vulnerable and honest with God. So just as if you want to build a close friendship with someone, if you always have a guard up with that friend, that friendship's only going to go so far. So at some point you have to decide that I trust that person. And same thing with God. You have to make a decision that I believe you are who you say you are, and I trust you. And I'm going to take time to be vulnerable and honest with you on my great days, on my hard days. And I'm going to really live life with you, Jesus. And that's where he really becomes, you start to see the full spectrum of the character of God and who he is as the Father, as a friend, as holy. We get to see him in those different places and different seasons and different times during our life. And sometimes all together in one, because he is one, and it's so beautiful in that. And so I really want to encourage you. We're taking a little break here from Countryside Women's and midweek. Get alone with God. Get alone with God. Build a friendship. You want good friendships? The most important friendship to start with is your relationship with Jesus. Build that friendship, and it will automatically flow into your relationships. You'll see that you have healthier people friendships when you have a good relationship with Jesus and with the Lord, and really letting him into that.